Hi, I'm Sejal Khatri. I am presenting my work with the researchers from the University of Washington and the Community Data Science Collective. We present a case study that shows how trajectories of three underrepresented and understudied peer production communities get shaped by social and cultural context of their communities. We all know about Wikipedia. It's an online free content encyclopedia written collaboratively by volunteers. It is also one of the widely studied peer production projects. But did you know that Wikipedia exists in more than 300 languages? While 16 languages on Wikipedia have more than 1 million articles, more than 90% of Wikipedia language editions have less than 100,000. We now have around 5 billion internet users who come from different cultural and linguistic backgrounds. A lot of these users come from non English language communities, and their information needs might not be met with existing language gaps in the knowledge commons. We refer to these languages as underrepresented. We already know that peer production can produce knowledge commons with enormous social benefit. Sadly, underrepresented language communities haven't received much attention in peer production scholarship. Although languages spoken by a minority of the population are frequently underrepresented, many widely spoken languages are as well. We looked at some of these underrepresented languages and found some of them succeeding in engaging communities more than the others. Why some communities succeed at engaging members and others fail, we have got one possible set of answers. We specifically selected underrepresented languages spoken in India because there are an estimated 536 million people in India who prefer their primary language to English when reading on the internet, and because most, if not all, Indian languages qualify as underrepresented. We selected three language communities officially spoken only in three neighboring states of India: Marathi from the state of Maharashtra, Kannada from the state of Karnataka, and Malayalam from the state of Kerala. These languages have a lot more in common relative to a language of global political economy like English. In this, we see Marathi Wikipedia has two times the number of viewers than Malayalam Wikipedia. Viewership in this chart signifies potential contributor base. But when looking at potential contributor engagement, we find that Malayalam has more than twice the number of articles created than Marathi Wikipedia. Why is Malayalam engaging its potential contributors more effectively than Marathi and Kannada? We conducted interviews with the community members from all three Wikipedias to understand their perceptions and used grounded theory analysis on the user data to understand the differences. You can read more about our approach in the paper. We found differentiating factors between Kannada, Marathi, and Malayalam Wikipedias that help explain these divergent engagement trends. We organized these themes into explanations at three levels. First, micro level explanations focusing on differences in day to day experiences of participants attempting to contribute. Marathi Wikipedia members reported feeling less supported. For example, one of the active contributors said, "We don't know how to get help," which creates unsupportive environments for members and newcomers. Both Marathi and Kannada members reported a large number of content disputes that they felt reduced their desire to contribute. A skilled women editor said, "Getting frequently questioned about edits discourages her." Demotivating nature of conflict was described as particularly salient by women who may be more averse to conflict in general or more likely than men. These micro level challenges were less salient in Malayalam Wikipedia. Why do Marathi and Kannada have content disputes and low social support? We find meso level explanations for that, including differences in the norms and rules used in each community. Marathi and Kannada repeatedly attributed the presence of conflicts to implicit community norms. An experienced editor said, "One good thing is that Marathi community people have accepted that the subject of my expertise belongs to only me." In English Wikipedia, this type of territorial behavior leads to resistance to improvements and increased conflict and can deter contributions from new contributors. Further, both Marathi and Kannada reported imbalance of power in their communities. These challenges were again less salient in Malayalam. Why do Marathi and Kannada have territoriality and centralized authority structures? We find macro level explanations for that focus on differences in the broader social and cultural context in the societies of the three language speaking communities. Marathi and Kannada communities attributed low engagement to the culture attitude towards volunteerism. For example, Kannada admin pointed out the lack of monetary benefits as a reason for low levels of engagement. They said, I am so active that in my house they criticize me for doing so much on Wikipedia. It doesn't pay, right? One final difference the three Wikipedias was the strong role that paid labor from NGOs played. Resources were deployed by NGOs and foundations to support the development of content in Marathi and Kannada precisely because they were struggling, but not in Malayalam Wikipedia. From our theory synthesis, we present the feedback cycle theory. We visualize the very different dynamics in Marathi and Kannada in this figure. In both cases, the features of the social and cultural environment led to reliance on a relatively small group of people for governance. This led in turn to barriers to entry that reduced contributions. The introduction of external financial support, shown here in the red box, increased the reliance on centralized authority structures, aggravating the problem and introducing a negative feedback cycle. On the other hand, Malayalam community reported different experience. Malayalam members reported high social support, which in turn was a result of their comparatively larger and active adminship and a more decentralized power structure, which in turn was a result of the support from government and other social institutions. This figure here demonstrates how the relatively supportive macro environment in Kerala led to larger group of potential contributors to Malayalam as well as a chain reaction of social processes that led to a Wikipedia that was better able to engage its potential contributors. We thank University of Washington Communication Department and the US National Science Foundation for funding our research, as well as members of Community Data Science Collective for providing feedback on the project. Please see our full paper for the full set of findings and insights. Thank you for listening.